off on your phone.
It's the first one.
Couldn't you use the same professional stuff that we did?
They do when they put it together.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take the Cleveland Avenues one and I'm gonna design it over here.
I really like it.
Well,
The middle section, yeah.
Tomorrow
Park
at
at the end,
11:30 is
parking
gonna
and
meet me down here too.
Okay, do you want me down here?
Go over the chairs and stuff like that.
Wow.
She said she wants,
Stuff like
There
that.
wasn't enough room
Yeah.
to do one
Yeah.
big one for the whole thing.
yeah, cause I told her I didn't want.
It would be like a
stuff
two-lane
because
one probably.
people will mess them up
That would really screw up some people.
and council
These are 10 years old.
only uses them like 3 times. And
Well, the room's used a lot.
No, I don't need to.
I do when it's fireworks. Yeah.
A deal?
Gotcha.
I don't know, Kim.
But I
She's
think
gonna meet me here at 11:30.
11:30?
Yes.
I
I can come down.
Was your ones too? Anything we should talk about before we just brought? Progressive.
Have you heard
Wanna
one
go cheapest possible.
No, that's a good future.
Except for in the board control minutes. Yeah, in the minutes, it's the only thing that I've seen.
minutes in the paper?
And have everybody mad at me.
Only place to fill.
Where did that go?
That bucket truck's still there.
And I
I
wonder,
was gonna stop.
what's the reason?
And put a
Because
toaster.
right now, there's no,
Try to
oh, there
get
is a
down
light.
here.
There is a light there.
Wait, if you're coming.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, coming out of Wooded Acres and all these places, yeah.
So did I.
Is the intersection.
Yes, and I see people come through, you know, where the pizza place used to be, they'll come around, I've seen people do that. Yeah,
Wasn't quite what I
because you're
called
coming out almost at Deal Park.
version. Yeah.
We're getting underway in about 30 seconds.
Right.
Or Cleveland. And Cleveland basically used to slow people down coming in. Yes, lots of accidents.
I think
They're at the hospital. The emergency school doesn't go in that way, it always goes out.
It's from Hicksville.
Interesting.
so they're like, I got all up to date on all.
A friend of mine said it's like going to
Steve.
football
You're on easy.
He never returned.
Said today he was.
I know that's what Mike told me, but he never
5,
returned McMaster's.
4, 3. Good evening and welcome to the Defiance City Council meeting for tonight, February 13th, 2024. Before we get underway, we have Pastor Scott Williams from the Defiance Nazarene Church, who is our guest minister here this evening to open us up in prayer. Thanks for being our guest this evening.
Thank you for the invitation. Let's pray. God, I thank you for the work that you give mankind. I thank you for the work of this council and our city. I thank you for this city. And God, I just pray tonight for wisdom. I know that's prayed for probably every week that they meet. But God, I pray that you will open our eyes to what you would have planned for this city, for where you'd want us to be in the future. God, we thank you for our past, but God, we can't live there. So God, I pray that you just guide the agenda tonight. I don't even know what all that is on the agenda. But God, you know what you want done in this town. You know what's everything that's been going on with this group of people this week. God, you know that they have lives outside of this room. So God, I pray that you give them peace tonight. No matter what they've gone through this week, no matter what they've gone through today. God, I pray for them and their families. I pray, God, for your protection over them. And God, pray that what is accomplished here, God, truly is your will for our community. We thank you for this time together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And thank you. This meeting is now in order. Let the record show that all members of council are present. Would you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've reviewed the index minutes for the council meeting of February 6th, 2024. Is there a motion to amend or correct the minutes as they're presented? Without such a motion, I'll approve them. Do we have any liaison committee requests or reports? Do we have any comments from council this evening? Mr. Uresti.
Yeah, I just want to remind Councilman that on Tuesday at 1:30, we're meeting here for 1:30 meeting, the mayor's meeting. But I provided 11 pages to our clerk to send out as background information, read it, and fill you in on some of the discussions. But it's basically just talking about an idea, and however long it takes. We invited, I think the invitation's been extended to the county. We have the director and the board president from the county library will be there. And along with the museum, I believe the extension was offered to them and also council people in the administration. So that's on Tuesday at 1:30.
Excellent.
That's
Thank
all.
you. Mrs. Crutch.
Tonight we had another Strady Center meeting, and we worked on the bylaws, which have not been updated for many, many years. So our new bylaws are in place, and then also this Saturday is a concert at the Strady. Todd Tigman, who won season 18, I think it was, of The Voice. It is at 7 o'clock. It's $20 now, but $25 at the door. So.
Thank you. Mr. Corbett.
You know, I was debating whether I wanted to bring this up in this format or not, but since my retirement, I've decided to drive a bus. And I've been very disappointed that our motoring public does not understand the rules on how you stop for a school bus when we're unloading kids. There's a blatant disregard for their health and safety, and I hope somebody will take the initiative to follow up and maybe a little more enforcement or an article in the paper with the diagrams on what's acceptable and where you have to stop and where you don't. It's sad. Thank you.
We get those warnings from Mr. Hancock as well, so
Thanks for bringing it up. One more thing for us is to be cognizant or aware of all that's going on. Any other comments from council? Mr. Mass.
Just a quick note, I did use a pothole at cityofdefiance.com on Monday to report one on the Greer Street, and it was taken care of quite quickly, so it doesn't hurt.
Mr. Uresti.
This is just for the public's, for their information. Last week we tabled the firework ban. How long can that stay being tabled?
It could be the rest of this term, this 2-year term.
Okay, so there's no timeline to it?
It would take a motion to remove the item from the table, and then what you do is that would bring the item back on the agenda for the following meeting.
At what step would it come in at? Because it was on our third meeting when we tabled it. Would it come back on the third or the second?
It would be the third.
Third? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? All right, on my desk are two things. First of all, the Defiance Public Library has asked that Sherry Hedge be appointed as Hicksville representative on the Defiance Public Library Board. Shall the consent be given for the appointment? All those in favor of the appointment of Sherry Hedge as the Hicksville representative for the Defiance Public Library say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Hedge. And as advertised this evening, before we move on to the items of legislation, we do have the appointment of people to the Charter Review Commission. Now, just in way of review, we have 7 names. There are 5 positions. Now, the people that are on this list are people that have contacted me or a member of council about wanting to be appointed. In order to be on the Charter Review Commission, you do need to be a city resident. There are 5 places. Last time, I believe 4 years ago, when we did this, or 5 years ago, I had us writing out ballots and then we counted the votes on the ballots, which you can't do. That was a rookie mistake. All of our votes are public votes that can be seen and can be heard. And so with these names, because there are 5 positions, Ms. Elders is going to read the name off. I'll read the name off and then she'll go around one at a time and please vote yes or no, whether the nominee should be on the committee. Since there's only 5 positions, don't vote yes for all 7 people. We were looking down the road saying, what complications could we have? But in way of being transparent, this is a good way of voting. If at the end there is a tie for people to be on the committee, then we'll limit it down to the people that are tied in order to reduce it. This doesn't need to take forever, but at least it is public and transparent about who's available and who's being voted for. I emailed all of you. Were there any of you who didn't get the list of nominees?
I don't have a computer.
Oh. I'll read them off to you. I'm sure the names are familiar to you.
John,
I will share.
Okay, there we go. So going in order, the first nominee is Mike Ketchum.
Corbett,
Yes.
Hancock,
No.
Rusty,
No.
Mass,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Crutch,
No.
Ingo.
Yes.
Okay. The next is Tim Holtzberry.
Hancock,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Mass,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
huh?
Yes. No hearing.
Crutch,
Yes.
Ingo,
No.
Corbett.
No.
The next up is Clay Crates.
Rusty,
No.
Mass,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Crutch,
Counting my 5. Yes.
Ingo,
Yes.
Corbett,
Yes.
Hancock.
Yes.
Next up is Vicky Heilshorn.
Mass,
No.
Wexler,
No.
Crutch,
Yes.
Ingo,
Yes.
Corbett,
No.
Hancock,
Yes.
Rusty.
No.
Next up is Pauletta Cox.
Wexler,
No.
Crutch,
Yes.
Ingo,
No.
Corbett,
No.
Hancock,
No.
Rusty,
No.
Mass.
No.
The next up is Katie Groff.
Crutch,
Yes.
Ingo,
Yes.
Corbett,
Yes.
Hancock,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Mass,
Yes.
and Wexler.
Yes.
And the last name on the list is Rita Bowling.
Ingo,
Yes.
Corbett,
Yes.
Hancock,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Mass,
Yes.
Wexler,
Yes.
Crutch.
No.
So we're gonna feed this into our high-end computer.
And that's me.
That's you.
Okay. Well, Katie got 7 votes. So she'll be on it.
Okay.
Rita Bowling got 6.
Okay.
Crates got 6.
Okay.
Hillsbury got 5.
Okay.
And Ketchum got 4. And then however you say her name, got 3. And Cox got 1.
So it looks as though our charter review committee is Mike Ketchum, Tim Holtzberry, Clay Crates, Katie Groff, Rita Bowling. Congratulations. Please contact Ms. Elders at lelders@cityofdefiance.com or call you in order to get the information about being on the charter review committee. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right. With that,
Yeah, I got it.
Mayor McCann,
Nothing to report.
nothing to report? Mr. O'Donnell?
2 things. Mr. Yagowski, I'm afraid I misspoke. I said that you could make a motion to bring the ordinance off the table during the rest of your term. That was an artful phrase. It's the rest of this 2-year term when everybody, wards and at-larges are here together. So that's 19.4C. But it would be placed on the agenda with the same standing it had at the meeting at which consideration of the bill was tabled, so 3rd reading. So that part's right. Second thing is that I would request a motion for an executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, section 121.22G2 Ohio Revised Code.
So we have a request for an executive session. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Engel? Second?
Yes.
Mr. Mast? All those in favor of an executive session this evening before we
I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call.
go ahead and do a roll call?
Okay. Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Rusty?
Yes.
Mr. Mass?
Yes.
Mr. Wexler?
Yes.
And Mrs. Scratch?
Yes.
All right, before we adjourn for this evening, we'll have an executive session. Just one?
That's all for now.
All right. And Ms. Sprague?
Just one item, NOCAC has received additional funds, for their water assistance program. That's $1,500, per home, to assist in water and sewer bills. So if you want to see if you qualify, just contact them directly. Same program that I had mentioned back in the late winter, or early winter, I guess, back November, so.
That's good news, thank you.
Yeah.
We do have 3 items of legislation for consideration this evening. I'll read the caption for the first. An ordinance authorizing a contract for professional design services for the Ralston Avenue Roundabout project and declaring an emergency. Mr. O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The city desires to construct 2 new roundabout intersection improvements at the intersections of Harding Street and Ralston Avenue, and then Anthony Wayne, and also Ralston Avenue. The city received a grant of $1.78 million for this project as part of the Ohio Department of Transportation's Small Cities Congestion Mitigation Program. City went through the request for qualifications process, selected Strand Associates, for the project design, and then negotiated a fee of $692,024 for that design.
692 or 629?
It says 629 on that.
Is that what it says? Yeah, I'm sorry, I transposed the 9 and the 2. It's 629, thank you. But that's for that design. And this ordinance authorizes us to enter into that design contract. And I should add, the city engineer is here to verify that all that's correct.
That's correct.
Answer any questions.
All right, Mr. Hancock.
Yes, this is for both of them, correct? It's not gonna be individually, this is as a group?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
And Mr. Waxler?
So we're liable for the 629?
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
And what's the reason for 2 roundabouts there? I've never seen traffic backed up there.
Oh my.
Okay, the fireworks maybe, I mean,
No. There's frequently, there are traffic backups, Harding getting onto, Rolston. Several people have complained to me that are exiting Wooded Acres and how long they have to wait at the light, as well as regional when they want to go back to 24. And what I observe on Harding and Ralston, Mr. Waxler, is frequently people get impatient. We've heard about that already. And pull out onto Ralston when they probably shouldn't. So no, since we first announced this a year or so ago, I've had numerous comments on and wanting to know when we're gonna get them built, and I believe that's 26.
Yes.
I've never seen an issue
And
with it.
it'll
I live
accommodate-
over there, Mr. Waxler.
Well, I know you go by
Yeah.
there or you live out that way, but I mean, I've never seen it really backed up there, I mean, so.
There's also the future development component as well, back off of Latchell, kind of Geneva Boulevard, and that, the senior development that's gonna be happening on Latchell as well. We wanna make sure that that intersection's safe for all that additional traffic. And there'll also be pedestrian improvements that will allow some connection back to Field Park, so that's much needed.
And
Mr.
where's-
Mast.
I guess where's the money coming from?
Are you done? Are you done, Mr. West?
No, I don't know where the money's coming from.
This was budgeted
Yep.
in
It's in the capital.
the
Capital
fall.
improvement.
Mr. Mast?
Well, my first question was, is this in the budget? And my second question is, I see we got 1.78 for the grant. Do we have figures on total cost?
It's about 2.5 million, 2.5 to 3 million right now for construction. That money that we got from ODOT is only for construction.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I wondered, what was above and beyond
Yep.
for that?
And we'll continue to look for additional funding to help make up that gap as we move into construction.
Mr. Aresti?
If the apartments are built behind Walmart and traffic is entering, leaving that area, would these two help?
Right now, there's not gonna be any connection from the apartments to
Okay.
Wooded Acres.
All right.
I think the better point which you made was the senior development and the fact that,
Correct.
the Keller organization has purchased the building and there's plans for several hundred jobs at that facility.
Mr.
And the
Engel?
development, at the old dinner, and the development, at the old dinner bell plant.
Mr. Engel?
Yeah, no other discussion, most suspend and call.
So we have a motion to suspend and call. Second, Mr. Mast?
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
Mr. Hancock,
Yes.
Mr. Rusty.
Yes.
Mr. Mass,
Yes.
Mr. Waxler,
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch,
Yes.
and Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Mast. Second, Mrs. Crutch.
Mr. Hancock,
Yes.
Mr. Rusty,
Yes.
Mr. Mass,
Yes.
Mr. Waxler,
No.
Mrs. Crutch,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
With that, this ordinance is adopted.
I can't get the TV to work. First reading by caption only, an ordinance authorizing the law director to enter into a settlement organization and plan and declare an emergency.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Mr. President, this is actually another one of those settlements as a fallout from the opioid crisis. Endo International PLC is an Irish pharmaceutical company who has entered bankruptcy as a result of a number of class action lawsuits against the company. And the form of the settlement actually is part of a bankruptcy restructuring similar to Chapter 11 in our system in the United States. And that settlement deal, restructuring deal, was part of, between the parties of the company and a committee of creditors. Council's approval is required under section 133.04 as a potential settlement of over $500. You're the approving authority for that. I don't know the exact number in terms of dollars that we would obtain from this settlement, but it's very likely that they'll require some proof of legislative authorization to participate.
Mr. Hancock?
And let's say it is the 500 for a number, where will that go into our budget? Is there a specific fund for
Yes,
opioid, is that
there's a
correct?
specific, yep.
I thought there may have been, but I just didn't know
Yeah.
if it was assigned to them.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mr. Waxler?
No further question, we'll suspend the call.
If we have no further questions, we have a motion to suspend and call.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast?
Mr. Rusty,
Yes.
Mr. Mass,
Yes.
Mr. Wexler,
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch.
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
and Mr. Hancock.
Yes. Motion to
A motion to adopt?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hancock?
Mr. Mass,
Yes.
Mr. Wexler,
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
Mr. Hancock,
Yes.
and Mr. Rusty.
Yes.
With that, this ordinance is adopted. And lastly,
First reading by caption only. An ordinance authorizing the city administrator to make application to the water supply revolving loan account fund for the replacement of the water lines along the resurfacing of Webster Street and declaring an emergency.
Mr. O'Donnell.
Mr. President, this discussion kind of goes along with the last week's bill regarding Webster Street. The city has identified $1,168,920 in available financing from this project from the State of Ohio Water Supply Revolving Loan Account. The administering authority for that loan requires an ordinance from council in order to make the application for that loan. It is a low interest loan. And again, the city engineer is here to bail me out on the details.
That's right, Sean. The loan will only be made for what we need to cover the project costs. So the number that's in the ordinance was the number that we were basing our bid on. We did actually open bids today, and that number, at least right now, is considerably less. So that's good news. But we need the authorization to apply and
Does council have any questions in these regards?
Just, is this a replacement in kind or are we upsizing?
it's in kind.
Is it?
Mrs. Crutch?
This is only from College Place to Webster, correct?
College Place to Stadium.
To Stadium.
Yeah.
And is there going to be sidewalks then put in also with this?
No.
No.
We'll replace some of the areas like catch basins and some of the curbing and some of the sidewalks.
Okay.
But most of the sidewalks already exist along that corridor.
Do we have any other questions? Mr. Corbett?
No further questions, motion to suspend and call.
Motion to suspend and call.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast?
Mr. Wexler,
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
Mr. Hancock,
Yes.
Mr. Rusty,
Yes.
Mr. Mass.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Mast. Do we have a second? Second, Mr. Engel?
Mrs. Crutch,
Yes.
Mr. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
Mr. Hancock,
Yes.
Mr. Rusty,
Yes.
Mr. Mass,
Yes.
and Mr. Wexler.
Yes.
With that, these three items of legislation have been addressed. Before we enter executive session, we do have time for citizens' concerns. Do we have any citizens who would like to? All right, come on up to the mic. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Jim Morse, and my address is 635 Clinton Street. This is well, I just found out last week you guys talked about the speeding downtown, but I wasn't here, and I was just wondering when we can really address this, because I've got a good view. I watch the cars go by constantly, and it's almost like they, instead of slowing down, they would go 50, 60 miles an hour, get around 10 cars on that corner. And instead of slowing down, they thought that they could do this. And I'm like, and there's a lot of us that are concerned because somebody's going to get killed eventually. It's the truth. I'm just saying, I know I talked to Mike before and we were saying something about the speed camera and stuff. He said no, but I'm like, I look at it this way. If they catch him, set it at 35, yeah, I know it's 25. But if they're going 35, obviously they know what they're doing. And then also, if it's a lawyer thing, they can get them off. I don't think lawyers work very cheaply to get a speeding ticket away. So kind of put the pressure on these guys. It's only about 30 cars. And you'll find out there's the ones that are repeat offenders. Maybe they get smart and not do it. And if not, well, take some money out of their pocket, I guess. So that's all I got to say. I'm really concerned for the public safety downtown because it has gotten kind of crazy out back there. So
Is it worse when they're going south?
Huh?
Is it worse when they're going south or coming in?
You know where the
Yeah,
most of the time it's going, yeah.
trying to pee so they can get over there.
Yeah, that's just, I have no idea. And then they got to slow up anyhow because after they've passed 15 cars, I'm like, but sometimes you just can't fix it. You know what I mean? So, but thank you for talking.
Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Hahn?
Good evening. Ralph Hahn, 901 Wilhelm Street. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for this cold. I'm sorry, but I'll try and be brief. But I wanted to say, when I came here in December and talked to council about the fireworks, I didn't come in here off the cuff. I didn't come in here with a self-centered mission. Last July 4th week was relentless for us. It was terrible. I read the Ohio law. I read our ordinance. I talked to neighbors, friends. I talked to people I didn't know. I talked to local authorities. I talked to the police, the fire, sheriff, state patrol. The summary of those conversations was gather your statistics and go make your voice heard. That's why I came here in December. Last month, Mr. Engel said that by a count of citizens present, there was more support for fireworks than against. His reference was a 3-to-1 at one meeting. It has already been forgotten, it seems, the police log of 30+ fireworks complaints that the police had responses to that I brought in December. And I said at the time, on behalf of the citizens with the same concern, those folks count. And I don't question our police department's records. It was said here that there's only one fireworks injury in recent memory. And that was presented like one's a good number. What's a bad number? I contacted our local hospitals, Mercy and ProMedica, and I asked them, do you have any records of fireworks injuries? And Mercy's response was, it would be difficult to retrieve and create a document regarding injuries due to coding differences. So there was nothing that Mercy could provide. ProMedica's response was, it's been 3 years since they've had an injury from an incendiary device. but each year there are 5 to 10 child injuries from sparklers. There's many communities in Ohio that have put a 100% ban on fireworks. You're aware of that. Some of those are Bowling Green, Fostoria, Haskins, Napoleon, Norwalk, Portland, Tiffin, Toledo, Waterville. Excuse me. I was curious, so I sent an email to some of those communities and I asked them, why did you put a 100% ban on fireworks? And I'm just gonna give you a couple of these.
Okay, we're down to under a minute, so.
You know, in all fairness, Mr. Seibel used 8 minutes. I'd like to have a little equality.
There's 35 seconds.
Okay. It's pointless then, I guess.
It's not.
No.
You're welcome to come anytime and during citizens' concerns, voice your concern, but.
You know, okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm asking council, what is paramount for Defiance citizens? Is it safety and citizens' well-being, or is it entertainment? And since I'm out of time, I'm just gonna have to let it go at that.
Thank you for being our guest. Before we enter executive session, we can stand up and stretch our legs for a few minutes. We'll be getting underway in just a couple.